You want to get to it?
Yeah,
for
man.
sure.
I'm ready to see how you do this.
Yeah. It's real simple. I mean, any knife will do. And I mean, there's a lot of people that like to pluck them. Usually for what I'm doing with the bird, I don't need to pluck it. I'm just going to skin it. You know, I like to cut the breast for frying or into thin little cutlets that we can pound out for bread or throwing on the grill. And then, you know, slow cooking the legs. I don't know if you really need the skin on there so much. So I tend to just skin my birds almost all the time. Every once in a while I'll pluck them. But I think there's no shame in either way, either method, you know. And people get real adamant about plucking them, but I think that they work real nice if you skin them too. Just any sharp, good, decent knife. And I'll just kind of come up and skin it first by coming up under here, right down the middle, and start to open that up. And what I want to do is just kind of open that bird up all the way down, and down the legs too.
That knife's sharp.
It is sharp.
One might say you wrote the book on this.
I did.
Is that right?
Just recently.
Is this stuff that you cover in the book?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now we do plucking and skinning in the book, both methods. You know, just, you know, for what you want to do, what you want to get out of it. Like I said, some people are adamant about plucking them. It takes a long time, but if you want that skin, or you're going to do like a whole crown roast, or some people even like to cook the bird whole. I'm not a real fan of trying to cook a wild turkey whole. I feel like it's tough. You know, it's just really hard to get everything tender at the same time.
Yeah.
And I'll get this started, and while I've still got the bird relatively whole and kind of starting to separate this out, I'll use this leverage to break these legs out of the ball and socket joints while I still have both of them on there. Because you try to do one after the other, you lose that leverage. So now I've got that ball popped out of that joint right there, and then kind of come up here and continue to just skin the breast off until you get up to the crop.
Do you feel, is this bruising from fighting or something?
That's probably from the flop.
Ah, yeah.
I mean, you can see them, they break legs and wings and stuff all the time from that post-shot flop. It's pretty common. But sometimes you get a stray pellet down there, or it could have been from fighting. It could have been from him attacking your decoy. I heard that he went after it. Had something personal going on.
He had some anger issues to work out.
Yeah.
One of the first things I noticed when the first time I ever opened up a turkey was how that breastbone kind of sits lower than I thought it would.
Yeah,
I think
like
that's
blow
where
it
it's going
back.
to be. Yeah.
You think it's up here.
Because I've done a lot of ducks,
all
you know.
the way down here.
It's just way different.
Yeah, you got to just imagine, like, when they're oriented, it's almost pointed down, and so this breastbone's almost forward. You know, yeah, it is. No, it's a really good observation. And then I'll just come in here and be careful around the crop. You know, I don't want to open it up, but also it's just usually just a bunch of undigested seeds and stuff. It can also be a good thing to look at and see what they've been eating.
Oh, absolutely. I think we should do that. I love that.
Yeah.
When I was a kid cleaning fish, I had to look inside of every stomach on a
my
fish.
daughter does that.
Yeah.
There we go. And as I'm going, I'm just removing every feather that I can. And once I get it opened up like that, I'm going to come in and remove this breast. And I take my knife and I run it against it this way. Like, so you get this bone here, and because it kind of tucks in, and you want to get it really started at the top like that, and then just start running your knife down the side of it, and you want to make sure you capture that tenderloin is right in there, and so you want to make sure that you're getting all that tender in there.
Do you usually separate the tender when you work with breast meat, or keep it with it? There's
3 distinct parts of the breast. On a larger bird, I think it would be more pertinent. This you could probably cook pretty much whole, but there's also some silver skin in there that I like to trim out, especially on the tenderloin. I will happily show you how to do that. And then just be careful around the gut cavity here too. Really, it's just the liver there, so not too much trouble you can get into, but you don't want to nick the gallbladder. And
What do
then
you do if you do mess up like that?
if you get into the gallbladder, you know, that's a immediate rinse, you know, and then because it'll stain everything like that.
It's kinda green, right?
Green. It's
Yeah.
really green. Yeah, it's like a deep, deep green.
And so, you know, I'm always thinking about like, what do you do once you mess up? Because I mess up things sometimes. So like a situation like that, as long as you get it good and rinsed off, you feel pretty good about it.
If it's still green
Yeah.
after,
Yeah.
then
Cut it off.
Yeah,
Like flay it a
yeah.
little bit off or something.
yeah, sometimes on a hot day,
Yeah.
you got to just give
Hey,
that,
look at
yeah, give that crop a little poke, and it's a little easier to work around. And then coming as far forward as I can, getting all that meat, and then just strokes with that knife. And then we can also come back afterwards and kind of clean up this carcass with any like little bits of trim. And if you get into a bunch of turkeys every season or this season, you know, sometimes you can accumulate enough of that to make something, you know, like a little batch of sausage or some raviolis or something that you can just use that scrap meat for.
Turkey ravioli.
Raviolis. I never think about. It takes a little work, I imagine, to make raviolis.
Yeah, but I mean, how long did you sit under that tree today?
Yeah.
Well, that's true. It's true.
So yeah, so you've got your tenderloin here, right there, and then you've got that real big seam of silver, and I'll show you here in a second how to get that out. Let's just go ahead and get it bagged. And I'll just do this side now.
Cat's ready for his portion.
Oh, well, he's gonna get some. Yeah, and then there's just that silver that's kind of holding everything on it up front here, and once you get through that breast will kind of just peel out.
And you're just putting a good tension on it to help that just keep it against.
Yeah, a lot of butchery is really just like using tension and running a knife very
He found a corn feeder
almost
somewhere.
very gently against that tension. That's like, I mean, it's, you know, big game too, like hogs and deer. That's a big way to do that. Yeah, there's a little bit of the crop got
Eating a
on
bunch
there.
of grass seed
Yeah.
heads, huh?
Seed heads and corn. None of the corn feeders on this place are running, so he's mobile.
I've always heard they eat grasshoppers a lot. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a bunch yesterday afternoon in those fields.
Case for the tension there. All right, there's that.
Nice.
I think the cat deserves
That's way better than when I did it a couple
little
weeks
bit.
ago.
There you go. You've been very patient. All right, so I already popped those out. So what you want to do now is you're going to have this little portion down here called the oyster. So it's actually on the top of the bird, right in here, and you'll see that the meat kind of goes pretty far back in there. See that? You want to go in and get all that out, and then just go through that ball joint, and then that leg will start to pull free. A lot of times you can just kind of pull the skin off of the leg, kind of get around it, like so. And once you get it free from that ball joint,
How about
it'll
that?
just come out
Wow.
like that. And we'll leave that.
Can you
Good.
point to the oyster? I want to see what
Yes.
where you're actually talking about.
It's
there.
that right there.
Okay, yeah.
So almost that whole chunk right in there. A lot of times just get trimmed off, but it's also just a really good piece. It's got a lot of connective tissue, so when it breaks down, it should be nice and tender.
This little green part right there. That's kind of like what we saw on his bird in
Yeah, that's
Florida.
what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is that about?
Couldn't tell you.
Just eat it.
Just
I mean, he's got some bruising right there, so it
yeah,
could be spurs or
yeah.
whatever.
I think it's from the flop. And we'll just leave that spur attached, proof of sex, and then come in and just do that other leg. Like
So a chicken would have that same oyster.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard about it on barbecue
Yeah.
chicken.
yeah. I think it's probably one of the best parts of the chicken. Yeah, so that ball joint already being broken out is really kind of key. It's very helpful in this step. And then again, you know, I made that preliminary cut right there. I can just kind of get around all that.
So is there any reason to field dress a turkey and get the guts out?
I think if it was really hot and you wanted to go hunt again, or you're with somebody, or, you know, if just a time delay,
Yeah.
then yeah.
But if you kill them in the morning, you're going to skin them midday. You can just bring them out like we did today, and
I think
no
it's okay.
sweat.
I think a couple hours is okay.
I feel like it would be, to do this process that you're doing now, it's good that this bird was just completely whole.
Yes. Yeah,
And-
it does make it easier. Plus, I mean, the heart liver gizzard is one of my favorite cuts off the whole bird too. So, yeah, you see all that meat up in there that you could miss if you didn't try to get that there. That should just pull right out at this point.
Perfect.
Wow.
Look at that.
And always be removing feathers. Okay, next up, I'm going to come in, and that intestinal cavity is just ready to go. You just got to open it up a little bit, get in there, and then what you want to do, you can just pop that carcass up like that. Go in, heart's going to be right there.
Easy.
Nice one.
Super clean.
I do love me a heart.
Oh, that's so good. And then what you want to be a little ginger about it is here, because that's where you got your gallbladder.
I see him in there.
And then there's the gizzard. You want to be careful around the gallbladder. I'm going to go ahead and just pull the gizzard out. I'm going to leave it before we do anything, because we want to clean that. I like to get it clean before it goes in the bag. And then we're gonna find that gallbladder, the green, that like emerald green gallbladder, and kind of just gently pull. And then I usually cut, but I give it a lot of space, you know. Like I'll take a little bit of the liver with it, and then that way you don't get any of that gallbladder contaminated. That is a gorgeous liver, you know, and big. I mean, that probably weighs like 3 or 4 ounces right there.
What would you do with that?
All kinds of stuff. I mean, this makes an excellent pate. Like if you just want to make like a butter, like smooth pate, this is like one of the mildest livers out there.
Really?
Up with like chicken liver or dove livers, which I've done. Takes a few, but
Imagine.
I compiled them over a season and made a whole pate out of just dove livers. It was very good.
Not bad.
But this is like, I mean, a meal. And I think the heart, liver, gizzard together, also you can cook those, are really nice in conjunction. And just to clean the gizzard, all I do is come in and just cut a little bit, about a third of it, where you can just break it open, like so. And then there's those 2 layers. And you just want to get that first layer, and then it'll all just come out like that.
And you just give that a rinse and it's good to go.
Yeah, give that a rinse. Some people will take this membrane off, but I'll either cook this for a long time or grind that, and so it's not an issue.
If you cut it in strips and fry it, and as long as you don't mind chewing through something.
Yeah, you might have a better experience if you take some of that membrane off, though, if that's what you want to do. Next up would be the wings. These are kind of the hardest part on a bird of this size. I think I would just be inclined to take the first joint segment on there, so the drumette, the equivalent. So you can come in and just at that ball joint, separate that out. And then I'll try to show you where that, on the back of the bird, it's kind of the equivalent of the oyster on the leg. There's kind of this shoulder oyster, and you can see that there's all this meat that comes back
I took
here.
that off in my Osceola. I was just like, that looks like more breast meat. So I just took,
Yeah,
I didn't know what it was.
It's on the bottom.
Yeah.
And so you can come in and take a nice little chunk of that off, like so.
Oh, and it goes with the wing.
Yes, and it goes with the wing. I mean, you could do whatever you want. This could go in like a, braising pile, stew pile, sausage pile, if you wanted to make a nice little batch of sausage, whatever. And so in the book, I've got multiple methods for getting them tender first, and then for finishing them. So like, there's 3 or 4 methods for just getting them ready, and then 3 or 4 methods for finishing them off. Like on the grill, on the smoker, and so forth. And then at this point, you just kind of twist that out, and you'll see how much meat you're getting out of there.
So Nice.
Yeah.
Which
You know what?
bag would you put that in?
Let's take the neck too. So we'll do we'll
Another
do a
bag?
little bag with wings and neck.
Okay.
You know what I'm noticing, Casey?
He takes a lot more meat than we do.
Well, that, but it's kind of like if you were to watch me shoot a 3-pointer and then you watch Steph Curry shoot a 3-pointer.
Yeah.
It looks different. Like
Yeah.
when I'm, it's almost like I have to fight with a bird to get the meat off of it. When Jesse does, it's like there's never like any jarring movements or anything.
Oh,
Like,
well.
Yeah.
he knows where all the joints are, and
I appreciate that.
yeah, it's
Well,
like
you know, I think, you know, I try to get everybody to eat hogs, and more people are eating hogs. Next step, I think, is just trying to get people to enjoy this, this part right here. Like, if we weren't like doing this as an instructional, we'd just be hanging out and talking,
Yeah.
right? There's a lot worse ways you could spend a day.
oh, for sure.
And it's like you sit under a tree and you're trying to kill these things, and you sit there for 8 or 9 hours, and then there's going to be somebody that watches this and be like, I don't have time to take the neck off that bird. I'm like, it took you 4 hours just to drive to the lease.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You
for
know,
sure.
it's like, this is fun.
Well, and a lot of guys, I mean, I got buddies that hunt a lot that don't get to shoot one every year, you know, and so
yeah.
it's I would say most people are shooting a bird a year, you
Yeah.
know, if they hunt, and
Yep.
it's not that really that much extra if you think about
Well,
it.
the thing too is it's kind of intimidating.
Yeah,
I mean, people don't break down chickens very often anymore.
Right.
You know, you
Right.
buy boneless, skinless, or whatever, or you cook it as a whole thigh or what. So there's just not this familiarity with
Yeah.
poultry like there is like a deer for a lot of people. So I know how to take the breasts out. I know how to take some legs off because they're kind of there, right? But like beyond that, it's like I don't really know where I'm going to put my knife right there. So
Yeah.
yeah, but then you know there's this thought of like, well, it's not that much meat, but then to watch you do it, and all of a sudden we're kind of piling it. You know,
Yeah.
it's an ounce
Yeah.
here, 3 ounces there, and then all of a sudden you got a whole nother human's portion.
well, and also, well, you know, I've been for the last couple of years texting Jesse about stock stuff here and there, and the stock is like, it's I would say that having good stock from turkey and whatever else, and we made nilgai stock when I shot that one a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Man, like to be able to use that stuff when you cook instead of having to go buy,
yeah,
you know,
The
chicken stock
box.
or whatever. Yeah, the box. Like it's just, it tastes better for one.
Yeah.
I mean, it really does.
it's a good way to make some white rice nutritious and delicious.
Yeah,
too,
for
go.
know?
sure.
Well, it's kind of funny, you know. It's like you might see somebody say like, and now we're gonna cook this turkey, and then we're gonna add stock, and they get out the box. And
Yeah.
it's like, you know, that turkey came with stock.
That's right.
That's right.
Like, yeah.
Yep.
That's kind of a funny play on words. You
Yeah.
know? Like there
Yeah,
is
it came stock.
There came
Yeah.
stock. Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
No
This-
aftermarket parts needed.
The wings, I will not lie, they can get a little, you can get turned around, they can get complicated. Just stay after it, and eventually they will, I promise. Especially once they, oh, there we go. That makes it a lot
Oh, you just
easier.
take it all the way off.
Yeah, I just removed removing the ball joint makes it a lot easier. All right, there we go. So we got this one, a little bit of cold water, get those feathers off a lot better. They just, yeah, once you get them wet, they tend to come right off. My hands are a little sticky right now. All right, let's do the neck. Do you want the beard?
Yeah, for sure.
You can just pull it off. Usually I'll just, but you can also just cut it off. There you go.
Perfect. Thanks, man.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It's real thick.
It is thick.
Yeah.
I thought that too.
Yeah. So the neck, like I was saying, can be kind of shot up, obviously, because it's usually the aim point. But it's great in stock, and it's fairly easy to remove. I'll just skin it out all the way up to the head, pretty far up.
So the head proper, like even through some of that colored skin, is what you're saying, yep.
Yeah, the caruncles.
Caruncles. Named after the caruncles.
And then you take the trachea out, and then you're just gonna get in there and pull. Oh yeah, that's some damage right there. But
Oh,
that's
yeah.
It's good
it's
accuracy.
way up there. To pruning shears, I always carry loppers in the back of my truck, so I know this looks extreme, but it's gonna work real well. And then just take that off there. And we can come back and we'll trim any of that trauma off. And then the neck actually goes back along the back pretty far. So you can get a good amount of it in there. You'll see here in a second how much you can get. And there's a surprising amount of meat on the neck as well.
Oh,
even if you are just going to use it to fortify a stock or broth or something like that, that's great. But you can really get quite a bit off of there, and it kind of angles up in there, you see? And then all I will do is just get these loppers back in there, like so.
I'm gonna tell my wife I killed a rattlesnake and brought the snake home for sure. It looks a lot like it.
It does.
That's cool.
And then we'll just trim some of that trauma out of there.
Yeah.
But yeah, look at that. So once all that meat's shredded off of there, you probably have a cup and a half or something like that, a cup of just shredded. And it's delicious. It's the same composition as the leg.
Yeah.
You know,
when you say shredded off of there, that's after it's cooked.
Slow cooked.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you could do that with the legs and like,
Toss that in there too.
yeah,
And then just pull it all out.
some sort of stew.
Shred that.
application.
Make your pozole, make your enchiladas, make your flautas, or we got to get it
Come out
beyond
some
Mexican
fried
food.
stuff. Yeah.
I don't know if we have to.
Empanada. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can do all kinds of stuff. Anything shredded, you throw the neck in there, and you just got more.
Yeah.
So,
That's awesome.
pretty cool.
Cool, man.
That's it.
Cool. And
Thanks
then
for
if you
showing
wanted
us.
to even do some more broth, you could probably
Yes.
just cut the ribs right there and take that whole thing.
Yeah, you can just break this
nice.
carcass out like so. Come in, you want to always make sure that you remove the lungs.
Uh-huh.
And so there's your carcass. Get the lungs out. There's somebody that'll like those.
Oh.
That's Joe Rogan's favorite cat, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, he hammered it too.
Yep.
Put it down.
All right. And I would say that we are done.
Awesome.
Yeah.